We got some real life drama. These are your stories. If you want to submit a story, the link is open. It is linked in every description of every video. I think it's like in the top line, all right? So it's right there. Tell me your business. First story is being left anonymous. This is an am I the a-hole for you and the viewers to judge me and give opinions. Buckle up. All right, guys, you heard it here first. They are allowing us to judge their decisions. So I'll see you guys in the comment section. I was recently told that I am a major a-hole. So, am I the a-hole for how I treated my sister-in-law and left my ex-husband? I first started dating my ex when I was in my early 20s. We will call him Ted. I met him through mutual friends, or rather, my ex-boyfriend. He was tall, cute, and had nice eyes. He invited me to go meet his family at their house when we had been dating for a little less than a year. I agreed, and we ended up at this ugly little double-wide mobile home. It wasn't dirty or anything, but still screamed trailer trash. My grandpa lived in a trailer, and I never called him trailer trash. Sometimes that's all people can afford. I didn't mind as much at the time, though. I loved Ted. His younger sister is still living with their parents. We will call her Jill. She didn't come out of her room for the first hour or so that I was there. I thought it was extremely rude, but Ted's mother said that she was always a bit awkward or shy around new people and just needed some time. Jill also apparently got caught up in things whenever she was doing her art. I thought to myself, whatever, I can see why she's still living at home then. Ted had mentioned before that his sister had issues. Eventually, she came out, introduced herself, and said hello. She was actually pretty polite. Total opposite of Ted in height, under 5 feet tall, which I thought was kind of funny since I always thought I was the short one. Then she went into the kitchen and opened the fridge. A few moments later, she comes back and asked her mother who drank her soda and ate her sandwich wrap that she had been saving for after work. Ted says that he was thirsty and stuff, so he took it. This girl suddenly goes from quiet and awkward to glaring daggers at him. Jill scolds him about coming over and just taking things out of the fridge without asking when he doesn't live here anymore. That he should have manners and make sure he doesn't take things that belong to someone else. I thought it was ridiculous to get so bent out of shape over a soda. A soda and a chicken wrap. And yeah, it's not yours. If my sibling came over to our family home, went in the fridge and took my drink and sandwich wrap that I bought or made and I was saving it, of course you're gonna feel some type of way. Let's be so for real. So I called her stupid out loud. She stopped speaking to Ted and looked at me, a mix between the awkwardness she had before and anger, like she was trying to decide how to respond. Before going back into her room, she said that Ted had found his perfect match. I wasn't sure what she meant by that.
All right, everybody, nice self-awareness.
Anyway, that was my first interaction with his sister. Now let's skip ahead to after we were married. I can't remember exactly when, as I didn't care enough to keep track. Ted and I had 2 children by this point and had been married for a few years. I can honestly say that my relationship with both Ted and Jill only got worse. Ted was never really able to filter anything he said. I probably should have mentioned earlier that I am a big girl. He would make comments about fat chicks a lot, often right in front of me. He had become kind of controlling and easily jealous. I noticed pretty early on that there was a weird dynamic between Ted and Jill. Sometimes it was like she absolutely hated his guts. He would pick on her and make jabs or something, and she would either kick him or curse at him before leaving the room. She continued to be somewhat awkward around me. At some point, I asked Ted why she behaved like that. That's when he told me that they used to fool around when they were kids. I don't think I need to go into detail there. He said that she was probably just jealous of me or something. Knowing this just made me feel even more uneasy with myself. I said before that Jill was very tiny. Not only that, but she was the opposite of me in weight. Always super slim and pretty. It might be weird, but I was actually more jealous of her, especially after the story he told me. That's a lot to just breeze over, but I think for the sake of these relationships and for YouTube, we should. Fast forward even further in time. Ted and I fought a lot, nearly every day. His controlling behavior was becoming too much, but I also didn't trust him. We accused each other of cheating a lot. Jill continued to show a lot of anger towards Ted. I remember one family gathering where he grabbed her by the arm and was just squeezing it, messing with her as a show of strength. Everyone was goofing around. She yelled at him to let her go or else. He didn't listen and she kicked him between the legs so hard that he dropped to the floor in tears. That'll do it. I told her if she did that again that I would beat her ass. She just stared at me. I'm not sure how to describe the look on her face, but she didn't really feel threatened, that's for sure. Everyone was getting on her about what she did, except for their father, who simply said she warned him more than once. Jill left the room. I could tell she was holding back tears, probably embarrassed from getting scolded by everyone. I just didn't want her to think it was okay for her to treat my husband that way. Karma caught up to her though. Some years ago, she ended up getting diagnosed with a hormone issue and gained a lot of weight in a really short time. No longer the pretty skinny girl she was before. In her 30s by this point and still single. I don't know, some of your comments, and it could just be the writing, I don't know, but some of these statements are just rubbing me the wrong way if I'm being so honest. And I know you're a viewer, so it's hard because we gotta be honest here. Also still living with their parents in a different house. I have to admit I felt a lot better about things knowing where she was in life. Still, my marriage with Ted fell apart around this time. He was verbally and occasionally abusive towards me. I also think he's a horrible father. I started to plan to get out. After months of setting things up, I tried to run with the kids, but he caught me. The police said I had no right to take my children away from him. Fine. We agreed to split custody 50-50. I filed for divorce immediately after moving to stay with my family. His entire family has painted me as the bad guy. I hate when he leaves our kids with his parents when he works because I have to go over there to pick them up. Now, here is where I was told I was the major a-hole. For context, the person who said this to me grew up around Ted and his family before I met them. First, the person said I was an a-hole for the way I left Ted. Not for leaving him, just for the way I did it. I gave no warning, and in their opinion, I schemed to screw him over. I had already been chatting with a guy who made me feel special for once. Ooh, the plot thickens. I was also in charge of paying half of the household bills, but I needed money saved up to get out. So I hadn't paid my portion of the bills in a few months, but I never told Ted. I heard the power was shut off for a bit after I left. They also said that trying to ditch him and take the kids was poor parenting. I just wanted to hurt him. As for Jill and why they said I'm the a-hole there, I don't know. I don't even know if I can believe either side. This person told me that Jill's issue towards Ted had nothing to do with jealousy. They said it was also really messed up for me to mock her weight when I should have understood what it feels like. Again, I'm not sure if I can believe this person as they have been pretty close to Jill for a long time. They might lie to make her look better. I think I was just giving them both what they deserve. Am I the a-hole? I don't know you, obviously. I don't know the type of person you are to actually call you an a-hole. But in this situation, I can understand why people are saying you are the a-hole. You said it yourself. I just wanted to hurt him. So all your actions were planned and they were made to hurt him. So I'm not surprised that people are calling you an a-hole when you wanted to hurt someone and you did things that would hurt them. And like I said, some of the comments are rubbing me the wrong way. My answer is going to be yes. We'll see you in the comment section. This could be awkward. Thank you for viewing my videos. I hope you stay after this. The next story is also going to be left anonymous. The former owner of the house my husband and I bought 10 years ago randomly showed up on my doorstep and demanded we vacate the house because she owned it. Hi Joss, love your videos. Hello. Love yours too, but please tell me the story. Title explains it all. This happened to me on June 10th, 2025. Oh, very recently. It's so weird, so I thought I would share it. My husband and I are the only Homo sapiens living in our home. The others that live with us have 4 legs and a tail. Basically, it's me, my husband, 3 dogs, and a cat. No kids as I am too autistic to care for actual human beings. Animals are enough and I love them all very much. My husband was in the shower when all of this happened and thankfully it was all caught on our security system. Around 5 p.m. this woman shows up on my doorstep and rings the doorbell. I answered it after looking at the camera. Now, I thought she may be inquiring about one of our cars, which happens a lot, or someone looking for something, someone harmless. Nope. This woman, supposedly named Nakia, demanded to speak to the owners of the house. Real name, by the way. I asked why and then told her my husband and I own the house. Very aggressively and demandingly, she said that we were in the house illegally and she's evicting us right now as she is the owner of the house. Excuse me? She proceeded to explain that she's the original owner and told us about these names on the concrete she and her children wrote on the side of our house after it was built, all while petting the exterior. I told her no, we have the deed to the house, which we have been living here for almost 10 years. Mind you, we still get Nakia's mail to this day. Oh, so she lived there before you, over 10 years ago. No matter what I said, this woman kept shutting me down and demanding we vacate, aggressively stating that she's going to do whatever it takes to get us out. This was all caught on my doorbell camera. The woman was so aggressive that I ultimately shut the door in her face after saying, "Okay, Karen, I'll see you in court." Now, one mistake I made was telling her that she is on camera. This may seem like a harmless situation, but it was quite scary for me. Moments after she left, I went outside to check my vehicles just to make sure she didn't key or do anything to them. I then went over to my neighbor's house to explain the crazy situation of what just happened. My neighbor asked if I had footage, and that's when I noticed my doorbell camera was offline. Not putting two and two together, I showed her the footage of the woman driving into my driveway like she owned the place, parked her car in front of my house. My neighbor said I need to file an incident report with the police just in case something else were to happen. I was pretty shaken up and never did that before, so my neighbor helped me with it. As I was waiting for the cop to arrive, I called my family to explain the bizarre situation that had just happened. And that's when I noticed my doorbell camera. I went to troubleshoot the camera and found that it was offline for a reason. The beach, different word, tore off my camera and took it with her. She's a thief! I had to call the cops back to file theft in addition to the incident. The woman also forgot I have cameras elsewhere and I still caught her on them. I told my neighbors, and after looking at the footage closer, she indeed walked back to her car with my $250 camera in hand. When I thought it was over, the woman came back 2 hours later and I was outside talking with my mom when I saw her. She now has a ton of stuff in her car. Oh my God, this woman's trying to move in. Ma'am, this place is not for sale. I yelled out while on the phone with my mom and I said, "Gotta go, I have to call the cops." I saw the woman reach over in her car. I bolted inside, shaking, locked the car, and I dialed 911. I know people might think I did the wrong thing, and I know 911 is for emergencies. This woman stole my security camera to the outside world, came at me aggressively, harassed me, threatened to do whatever it takes to get me and my husband out of our house. I didn't know what she was going to do, nor did I want to find out. The woman needs to be held accountable. For 2 days, I was scared to leave the house, not knowing if she would show up to do something to me, or worse, my husband and animals. Luckily, it's been a little over a week as I write this, and thankfully, the woman hasn't shown her face since. We got an update and additional findings. The camera was replaced 2 days later and cost me $250, which if she is arrested, I will be reimbursed. Will she be arrested? I don't know. Anything under $1,000 is a misdemeanor and classified as petty theft. Well, that sure was petty. Not high on the list of cases to be solved according to Google. I did some digging on this Nakia person. She is in fact the original owner of the house, but from public records, she lost it in 2007, probably due to unpaid liens. Deed was transferred a few times before being sold to the person who we bought the house from. I've never met the original owner nor the person who showed up on my doorstep that day. If the person truly is Nakia, she will be able to be identified through mugshots as the original owner of the house that has been arrested before failing to show up to court multiple times on drug charges. She probably was on drugs when all of this went down. Well, I was gonna more so say maybe mental health issues, and maybe she's not in her right mind and she genuinely thinks that that's her house still and that you live in it. Which can still be scary because you never know how unsafe of a position you're in. You don't know this person. So I get it. I'd be scared too. Let's hop on hydration station. Drink some water. Okay? Drink some water. Cheers. Oh my God. You can't take me anywhere, not even my own home. Next up, we have a story from Panda Bear. U-Haul Karen. Ooh, you know, I just need a little Karen story in my life today. So this occurred in the summer of 2018. A little bit of context. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, and I've lived in the same household with mom, dad, and the younger siblings my entire life up to this point. After I graduated college in 2016, I lived with the family for a couple more years before my parents were like, you need to live on your own. I was 24 years old at the time, and I was anxious but excited to live on my own. My mother, 48 female at the time, and I reserved a 10-foot, about 3 meters, U-Haul truck to move my stuff from the family house to my new apartment. We made the reservation online and went to one of the local U-Haul stores to pick it up. When we got there, we saw that a young male employee was assisting a woman, about my mom's age, and a young woman. It is worth mentioning that we do live in a university town ourselves, so we speculated that it was a mother and her college daughter. We didn't see anyone else in the store. Mom and I go stand in line behind the mother and daughter. The woman, Karen, started to talk loudly, so we heard the conversation. Apparently, Karen also reserved a 10-foot U-Haul truck, and the employee was telling her that they no longer had any more 10-foot trailers available on the lot. However, they do have a 15-foot, 4.5 meters truck available for no extra charge. However, Karen wasn't satisfied. She said she reserved the 10-foot truck, and that is what she came here to pick up. Then the employee said there is another 10-foot truck available at another lot about 1.5 hours away in a neighboring city. Karen was so offended by the employee's response that he just told her she has to drive from the East Coast to West Coast to get the U-Haul truck. During all of this exchange, another young man employee came out from the back and started assisting Mom and I. He witnessed Karen's tantrum too. As he pulled up the information, he asked us if we wanted to upgrade to the 15-foot truck, and Mom said sure. So Karen got her 10-foot truck in the end thanks to Mom and I. And one more funny tidbit, when I went to get the keys for the apartment, we discovered that it was the exact same apartment that one of my mom's ex-boyfriends from college lived in. That's so cool. What a fun random fact and like full circle moment. That's trippy. The next story is anonymous. Just wanted to say I love your videos, and listening to everyone's wackadoodle stories is exactly like pretending to be busy while listening to your neighbors argue. LOL. That is so true. That's exactly how I feel reading them. Now on to the story. Back in 2015, I was a newly graduated, baby-faced 18-year-old with a lot of baggage and 0 life experience. At the time, I was dating a guy from my class who had dropped out when we were sophomores. I know, it was the typical shy good girl meets bad boy and falls madly in love type of romance. He was everything I wasn't, and he thought I was cute. So obviously, we were meant to be. Eventually, during my senior year, he asked me to move in with him after I graduated. For a bit of history, my parents divorced when I was around 2, and I had been living with my mom, her husband, and my 2 half-siblings. My relationship with my mom and stepdad was abysmal, to say the least, so I was desperate for a way out. To say I jumped at the opportunity would be an understatement. He was happy, I was happy, things in my crappy life seemed to be finally looking up. There was just one major problem. Obviously, I still need to graduate, but more importantly, he was still living with his parents, and the trailer he was going to have us live in was completely gutted. I'm talking no insulation, no electricity, no running water, no proper walls or floors. Okay, so it's not even a trailer at all then. What's left? You've listed everything that it doesn't have. He said he would spend the rest of the year fixing it up, and by summertime, it would be ready for us to move in. Well, lo and behold, summer rolls around. I graduate high school, and the trailer has barely changed from where we started. He has bare but insulated walls and electricity in one bedroom, and that was about it. He was stressed, I was stressed, and we both knew I was on borrowed time. As soon as I graduated, my mom began coming home every day from work and asking me when the trailer was going to be ready. And I could tell she was getting more and more frustrated by being told, "I'm not sure. Boyfriend says end of May." Eventually, my stepdad hit his boiling point, I guess, because he came into my room one day after work and began throwing anything I hadn't packed away yet into boxes and piling them up into the downstairs living room. "Why are they kicking you out so fast?" He then immediately began renovating the room. And putting in brand new furniture for my little brother to move into my space. And it wasn't like we were desperate for rooms. He already had his own upstairs. Remember that abysmal relationship with my parents I mentioned? Yeah. Apparently when I was little, my stepdad actually liked my eldest brother and I. He treated us kindly and even bought gifts for us. Allegedly. I don't really remember this because I was only 5 by the time my mom got remarried, and my memory is hazy at best. Then, as soon as my mom became pregnant with my baby sister, it was like a switch flipped and suddenly he wanted nothing to do with us. He even went so far as to ignore me and pretend I didn't exist for 2 years while we lived in the same house. That's a nightmare. So I grabbed a couple of boxes of things, loaded up what I could into my crappy little car, and drove to my boyfriend's parents' place. What followed was the summer of hell. It took 3 months of us living together in a crappy trailer with 0 running water and only 1 room of AC for us to break up. We had to walk over to his parents' trailer anytime we needed to shower or eat or do pretty much anything. He treated me like I was only there to wait and serve on him, would refuse to let me help pay bills, and then berate and yell at me for not helping him pay bills, and was overall a scummy guy. But I was deeply in love with him and a pushover after enduring years of abuse by my biological father. Eventually one night, after an entire day of him pretending I didn't exist, he had a few of our mutual friends over for a mini bonfire. Eventually, I was able to pull him aside and I begged him to tell me what was wrong, and he dumped me. Right then and there, with our friends just a few feet away. I started bawling and begging him to not leave me, and things quickly turned awkward. Everyone left soon after, and as we sat there in his room, me still crying, him looking unbothered, I asked him where I could even go, and he just shrugged at me and said, "I don't know." The next day I had to ask my mom to come get me. She and my stepdad picked me up, and she immediately began talking about how now I could get an apartment, and how if she had known the conditions we were living in, she would have never let me move in with him. Gang, she knew. She knew. She knew, and not only that, but I had also just been dumped not even a full 24 hours before. She gave me no time to breathe or even process the grief from being unceremoniously booted out by who I thought was the love of my life. I lived in the spare bedroom for a full 5 days before she decided she had had enough of me not looking hard enough for an apartment. Luckily, I suppose, my aunt was in town and had kindly volunteered to let me stay with her for as long as I wanted. My mom gave me an ultimatum: go live with my aunt or find somewhere else. So I went with my aunt. Honestly, she's so amazing. She gave me space as much as I needed and as much time as I needed to heal. We ate meals together like a family and sat down together to watch movies. I will forever be thankful to her for the love that she showed me back then and even now. During this entire time, it's important for you to all know I was talking to my best friend at the time, who we will call Vicky. Vicky had let me use her place to shower when I couldn't at my boyfriend's parents, and we had even continued our sleepovers that we would have in high school. I truly felt like she was the only one I could turn to during this time, who understood the situation from being there firsthand. Originally, I had planned to stay with my aunt, who was states away, for a long time, but Vicky begged me to come back for her birthday, and being a good friend, I felt like I owed it to her for sticking by me during this insane time. So I got back from staying with my aunt and having nowhere to go, turned to my ex. I can't remember why I couldn't stay with Vicky, but I remember that not being an option. My ex said he felt bad for kicking me out and said I could crash on his couch for a little bit until I got on my feet. The night I stayed over was awful. He had brought a girl home who knew who I was and that I was his ex-girlfriend. She did everything she could to make me feel jealous by touching him, teasing him, etc. She even went to bed with him at the end of the night. There's no way. I would rather sleep outside. No way. I'll sleep in a public bathroom before I do that. Honestly, I think he wanted to hurt me and show me that he had moved on. The next morning, another one of my friends from high school and my ex's brother came over for a visit. We were all sitting on the couch, me feeling miserable and exhausted from getting hardly any sleep, and we were all sort of making awkward small talk while my ex slept. At one point, the girl from school mentioned how she couldn't believe I was still hanging out with Vicky after what she did. The brother, who happened to be her boyfriend, gave her a look and said, "Don't." I was so confused and I asked what she meant. I swear to you, she smirked in that moment before turning to her boyfriend and then back at me. She didn't tell you? I was shaking at this point, super anxious because of course something was happening in this awful summer of mine. She shook her head and finally spilled the beans. Vicky had been fooling around with him and making out with my ex just 2 days after he had dumped me. The dumping, which she had been there for. The crazy part is that I had even suspected that she had been hanging out with him because she kept saying things that he would often say, and when I asked her about it, she flat out denied it. So I'd given up my peace and my time with my aunt to go spend a single day with a girl who had sucked faces with my ex-boyfriend just days after we had broken up. I had been a sobbing, emotional wreck of a person right there next to her while she pretended to comfort me. Meanwhile, she was getting frisky with him behind my back. She even apparently made fun of me for how upset I was over the whole thing with him. I ended up sleeping in my car for a couple nights until my grandmother allowed me to go live with her. Honestly, the rest of that year and even some of the next continue to be awful in every possible way. Well, I hope your days are getting better, let me tell you. I hope this summer and this year is the best one yet. All right, it's only up from here, right? I'll see you guys later. I'll see you in the comment section. First and foremost, stay classy out there, stay sassy.